Are we live? We are live, guys. Hopefully you guys are all doing amazingly, right? You know the deal. We're going to spend about 5 minutes just hanging out, and we're going to go ahead and get this started. Let me go ahead and start muting everything that surrounds me. All right. Ooh. Oh, I need to go ahead and create that poll. Yes. Yes or no? I see you, Heidi. How are you doing today? Hopefully all is well. Hopefully you guys will let me know if my fan is a little too loud. It's about what is it? About 110 degrees currently at 1 a.m. for me. Yes. Or 43 degrees Celsius if you guys are, if that's your language, basically. So the fan is almost a necessity now to survive, or I turn into an ice cube. Let's get this. Let's see. Do I pin this or? Nah, we're good. Actually, let's see. So we have the scary stories. Then we'll do a couple more. All right. Yeah, Kirby Pooh, I'm doing pretty well. And yourself? Hopefully all is well. Just trying to get everything set up. Ah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I was hanging out with Just Jen the other day on live. Good people, for sure. And Juan, yes, we are ready for this show. Just a couple of more minutes, we should be good. Roughly 2 more minutes, we'll start. Yes, please, Heidi. As many cool vibes as humanly possible. It is unnecessarily hot here. We have roughly minute 20 seconds, 10 seconds. We'll start. Somebody came in and was like, no, I didn't like the stream. That's hilarious, bro. Alright, that's good. Hey, Ricky, I definitely appreciate that, dude. %. Lots of hard work goes into this, bro. Sweaty days. Alright, we're going to get started in about 30 seconds. What? Does it help you at all if I put ice cubes on my... No? It'll probably mess up your keyboard, bro. Hey, Tim, I appreciate that, dude. or whatever you just put the ice cubes on, sir. Dude. All right, we're ready. We met the mark. All right, dudes. Let's go ahead and jump into this. First of all, let's make sure that you see everything, right? Here we go.
I live in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
It was a Tuesday night. I was laying on my bed trying to get some sleep. I laid there for about 3 hours until I decided to get up and take a walk around my neighborhood just to clear my head. It was 2 in the morning. I was walking down the street when I remembered there's an abandoned building in our neighborhood. I decided to visit it. People say that this building is haunted, and I've always wanted to see what's inside of it.
Oh, really?
The building itself looked really creepy. Broken windows, a huge metal door which said no entry with red paint. As an 18-year-old college student, I wanted to be adventurous. I climbed through one of the broken windows and got inside the building. I took out my phone and started to record so I could show off in front of my friends. Just to let you guys know, my phone works completely fine. There's no problem with it.
Hey, Kirby Pooh, I appreciate the donation, dude. For a new fan or AC unit. Yeah, bro, I need that immediately.
The place was really dark.
I appreciate that.
The only source of light in that building was from my phone. It took me a couple of seconds to realize I was inside a small room. I walked out the door into the hallway. It was an apartment. I was doing commentary while recording to make it look cool. I got out of the apartment and into the main hall of the building. Here's a picture of the main hall. And
this is a real photo, I'm guessing, yes?
And into the main hall of the building. Here's a picture of the main hall. On the left side of the elevator, there's a small passageway which leads to a really small room under the stairs, as seen in this picture. I went there to investigate. When I got close to the room, I heard a clicking noise from the first door.
Okay.
I was frozen for a split second. I walked back to the main hall, still recording. Then I heard a loud sound of metal dropping on concrete. I almost crapped my pants. I wanted to get the hell out of there, but something inside me told me to go upstairs and find out what it was. I started walking up the stairs as slowly as I could.
Okay.
I don't even know what I was expecting to see up there. I got to the first floor. As usual, it was dark, but it got colder. This event took place in the middle of August, so it was hot outside. I'm into paranormal stuff, and when I suddenly felt cold, I firmly believed something was going on here. I should have turned back, but I still wanted to see where that sound came from. There were 4 apartments on each floor. I investigated all 4 of them and saw nothing. A chill ran down my spine when I realized the whole second floor and the ground floor were covered in sand.
Why were they covered in sand, bro? Listen, yeah, this is a... Alright, listen, out of all the ones that I've encountered, I've been doing these a lot lately, right? And I think as of right now, I think this one may be the most horrific because of the real footage, right? Like, they're literally showing what's happening. Oh, come on, bro. Let's go. Let's just do this.
There was no concrete and no sign of anything metal.
Okay.
The cold temperature on the floor and the fact that I was alone gave me the chills. I hurried down the stairs, made my way back to the apartment, climbed out through the window, and ran back to my home. When I got home, I drank gallons of water, calmed myself down, and took out my phone. I wanted to hear that sound again, so I played the video. And to my horror, the audio on the video was messed up.
Okay.
My commentary wasn't there at all. Like I said earlier, there's no problem with my phone. It works fine. I didn't get any sleep that night. I told my friends about it, and they told me that it was really stupid to go inside that building alone. I didn't delete the video. I decided to keep it as a memory. Fast forward to December. I was going through my gallery, and I came across that video. I decided to play it. I fast forwarded to the part where I heard the sound, and surprisingly, that sound is clearly heard in the video. I don't know how it could be heard clearly, but here's a small clip from the video.
Okay. Nope. Get out of there.
I got goosebumps and closed my phone.
Hold on, so he... Oh, no, dude. So what you're saying is that there was a weird bump in the night, basically, right? This guy is walking around this abandoned building of sorts. He's making commentary, but for some reason the commentary itself has been removed from the actual audio. Nope. No chance. I'm never doing this. Never.
I got goosebumps
Never be
and
me.
closed my phone. I promised myself not to go near that building ever again.
Never go there, ever. No chance, bros.
Let me start out by saying I was a non-believer of the paranormal until this night.
This night?
I was with 4 buddies. I won't list any names for safety reasons.
For safety.
We went to hang out and talk in an old, supposedly haunted trailer late at night. The owner and multiple people who lived there all told me that it was haunted by demons, and me being the new guy to the group, I needed to be initiated. This initiation consisted of walking into the haunted back room. I did as they said after they convinced me, and walked in and then quickly ran out. My friends thought it was hilarious and went to prove to me that it was all not real. I went behind them to record them and see if we could get any proof of the demon. My friend went to open the closet, and that's when I got spooked by a loud audible crash in the closet and ran away. My friend thought it was hilarious, and after more convincing, dragged me back inside the house to record him. My buddy and I got outside of the
Maybe like an animal or something, bro.
trailer to rewatch our footage, and what we caught scared me beyond belief.
Dude, I just heard shit in the closet. Yo, bro.
What happened?
Dude, I just heard shit in the closet. Yo, bro. Oh, fuck! Hey.
Nah. Never. Absolutely not. It sounds like, honestly, there's like an animal in there. That may be more likely, right? Maybe like a hole or something like crept in or something. I'm just kind of confused by it. It's like slightly befuddling. It could be something, potentially. But I'm going to say that it's an animal.
What the
I still wouldn't be in there, bro.
Oh, shit!
I still wouldn't be in there, bro. Forget it.
Oh.
The door opens. Wait. The door opened and then closed itself. What happened?
Oh.
Like, it almost looks like something pulled the door back. Maybe it's like a homeless person, potentially, maybe. I don't know.
Chase, look at this. Dude, I saw it. Get the hell out of there, dude.
The closet opening and closing, loud knocking and windows being tapped on. All the while I captured orbs outside of the room. While I was outside waiting for my friend to come back out, I heard the trash cans rattle and immediately called my friends out. We didn't see them move, but a little later on we had things thrown at us from an unknown place. I had a live bullet tossed into my leg, and one...
It could have, honestly, it could be a homeless person that's like living there, maybe, right? And just now gonna start trolling them, potentially.
more land inches away from my buddy's leg.
I have it on video. You were making that shit. Wait, if you're there, then who's throwing shit?
I just came back from smoking with Roy.
Yeah.
They just passed by, I took a hit and they kept walking.
We have actual fucking proof of that ghost.
Eventually we went to get out after I practically dragged my friend into the car, only to have our car alarm go off as we opened the car door. When we got home, my buddy showered and said his back hurt, and when I checked, I saw he had multiple scratches up and down his back, as you can see in this image.
Nope.
It was a normally
Pro Street. If I hear something, I'm pushing somebody down to survive.
evening. My best friend and I decided to
Just don't push your friend. I now know who not to go ghost hunting with. Pro Street. All right.
go for a walk. It was around 10 o'clock in the evening, so it was as dark out as it was going to get. I live in a small village, so we usually just walk around the streets.
Okay.
There weren't many people out at this hour. We were kind of just walking and talking. A little while into our walk, we started to head home. We went up some hill, which led to the little town area and the only store we had in our village. But as soon as we came up the hill, we saw a weird-looking figure in the distance. It looked like an abnormally tall woman covered in a sheet of some sort, and it had its neck tied with a string or a rope. This is the video we took of the figure. Honestly, it reminded us of the movie The Nun. It was really hard to see since it was totally dark and the street lights weren't exactly the brightest. It was moving very slowly, and it was waddling left and right like it was drunk or injured or something.
Interesting.
We couldn't figure out if it was walking our way or not because it was moving so slowly. It was a really disturbing sight at that moment, at that hour of the night. After half a minute of standing there, we realized it was walking towards us. We ran as fast as we could when we realized it didn't even have a visible face or just anything to take note of specifically.
Didn't have a visible face.
We walked around to go home, hoping we wouldn't see her again, but we thought we would, because if we calculated it right, we would meet again on one intersecting street, but luckily we didn't. The next day, I told my friend about what happened, and she told me she also saw her, or it, while she was driving with her sister past the bar, which is on the street we thought we would see her
I don't know about
again.
this one, bro.
She
I don't know
moved
about this
slower
one
than
at all.
us, and I really don't know how we missed her, but luckily we did. My friend described the figure just as horrifically as it appeared from the distance to us that night.
Yeah.
Since that night.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe somebody sleepwalking or something. But outside, though? I don't know. Potentially. But yeah, this one here, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. Sorry.
We never saw her again. This just happened a couple days ago.
All right.
This isn't something that happened to me, but rather something that happened to a family friend. Our family friend, who I'll call Buddy for the sake of this video, believes that something has attached itself to him. Something paranormal. It started when he moved into a new house. Almost right away, Buddy and his family started experiencing paranormal activity, such as shadows and voices. One night, Buddy had found a weird discovery in the basement of his new home. Upon doing some moving in the basement, he found something that he had not seen prior to the move-in. He found a stolen cemetery wreath. This made partial sense because the town cemetery was in walking distance of the house.
A stolen... Who does that? A stolen cemetery wreath, bro?
Buddy was aggravated with the
Do something
activity
better
going
with your
on in
time.
his new home. So out of anger, he snapped the cemetery wreath, and in his own words, "When I snapped the wreath, every dog in that town started howling. There must have been 20 dogs all howling at the same time. I was scared to death." After that, the activity worsened, and they had no choice but to move. But it seems the activity followed them to every house they went to. Recently, they've had some of the worst experiences in this apartment they currently live in. Buddy and his wife, who I'll call Pam, have been repeatedly followed by some kind of entity.
Pam and
They
Buddy.
decided to set up a phone recording for the night and try to capture anything that might seem paranormal as evidence that they weren't crazy. What Buddy found on the phone was horrifying. He woke up at 3 to review some footage and found a 5-second video that had been taken after the previous recording had stopped. Keep in mind, they have no pets, no children that live with them, no TV or radio was on at the time, and both Buddy and Pam were in bed when this happened.
Well, what about the neighbors' TVs?
You can clearly see something pick up the phone and a female voice speak into it. I can assure you that is not Pam's voice or any other voice that they're familiar with.
Okay.
Everyone thinks it
let's hear
says, "Did you tell Daddy to rape me?" But you guys take a listen for yourself and come to your own conclusion.
All right, let's get it.
You tell Daddy you rape me?
Almost a night after this recording, one of Buddy and Pam's daughters died from an overdose. She was 30 years old and 7 months pregnant and a mother of 4, getting ready to be 5. Could this video have something to do with it? We don't know. But if it is a coincidence, then it sure is one hell of a scary one.
Okay. All right. The first one was the most horrifying one. The second one was okay, but these last two were kind of iffy, bro. So I don't know if that's even like a thing, right? I mean, I do like the fact that they have the videos attached to them. That helps, right? But like, other than that, dudes, I don't know. Let's jump into the next one, dudes. Okay, the last two were full-blown flops, bro. All right, full-blown flops. The non-existent threat. I see what you did there, sir. I see what you did there. Let's go. 3 retail horror threats. What is this one? 3 disturbing true retail stories. All right, let's get it. Hey guys, if you're just coming into the stream, if you guys can like, that helps a whole lot, bros.
I work at a CVS open 24 hours a day. I've been working at this location for 3 years now, and I'm one of the higher-ups. I agreed to take on the overnight shifts because I believe it helps my chances of getting another promotion, and I like to be on my boss's good side. There would only be one employee working the 12 a.m. to 8 a.m. shift, as that's all that's really needed.
All right.
Once the pharmacy opens at 9 a.m., that's when business usually picks up. The 2 employees before me left after I was set up. At my hours, so few customers come in that my job varies from cash register to simply stock working. The beeper at the front door that would go off would alert me when a customer would enter, so I'd know when to go back to the register and wait. A few hours into my shift, I went back to the register to check my phone, which I had charging, and I had a new voicemail from an unknown number. I pulled it up and listened. It was some weird voice on the other end that I couldn't tell belonged to a male or female, and I couldn't understand what they were saying. Like, the sound quality was terrible. The transcription was unavailable for that reason. Obviously, I just ignored
Eat soup. Appreciate the donation, dude. Good day, sir. Waiting for the stream. Well, welcome, sir.
it because everyone gets weird calls once in a while. As I continued doing stock work, my phone started to go off. I pulled out my phone and saw a bunch of texts from that number that just called. The first text said, "Call back when you can." The second one said, "I know you're at work, I'm coming to visit." The third one said, "What time are you working till?" I had no idea who this could be. I
Right.
texted back, "Who the hell is this?" The typing bubble popped up for like 20 seconds. Then it went away. They didn't respond to that. Okay. A little unnerving, yes, but I still had to go about my work. Eventually, I heard the ding by the front door, alerting me someone entered. So I went back to the register and waited. I didn't see anyone walking around though, and I waited there for quite a while actually. Eventually, I just decided, okay, that's enough waiting, and went back to stocking shelves. I'd
No.
say it was around 2 a.m., a couple hours into my shift.
I'm quitting right now.
I got a new cart
Yeah, Rufus, I appreciate that, dude.
full of items from the back section, this time beauty products, the second aisle in the store. I brought the cart over there and noticed a woman in the corner of the next aisle over, the first aisle. I stepped into that aisle and looked down, asking if she needed any help. She was looking down at one of the products in the corner. She didn't acknowledge me. Didn't know if she heard me or not, but I just felt awkward, so I left her alone.
No, she has to leave the store now.
I walked back to the register just to wait there for her
No.
to finish up, and then I started getting more texts from that number. I was basically getting spammed with random messages that made no sense, except one that said, "I'm here." So I said screw it and I called the number. I heard a ringing sound coming from inside the store, and my heart started beating twice as fast. I felt a heavy feeling in my throat. I canceled the call, and the ringing stopped. I brought myself to walk over to that last aisle again, where
Yeah, she's not there anymore.
the ringing was coming from. That woman was still there in that corner. I yelled, "Joke's over, I'm calling the cops, whoever you are." I almost knew it had to be some girl I knew playing a prank on me. I went back around the counter because for some reason I felt safer there. I really didn't want to call the police though. Instead, I called my best friend, who picked up on the first try. I asked him to think of anyone we knew with brunette hair who had my number and would be playing a prank on me like this. He guessed a few names, but based on the body shape of that woman, it was none of them. My friend told me to just stop being a pussy since it was a girl.
Oh,
I told him, alright, whatever.
bro, what does that mean? Have you seen, like, female MMA? Bro, they will knock anyone out. Male, female. All right? Don't sleep on the women, all right? Let's go.
My friend told me to just stop being a pussy since it was a girl. I told him, alright, whatever, and hung up the phone. I was about to suck it up and walk over there when I noticed her, peering half of her head from around the corner of the beauty aisle. She had to be kneeling down too because the shelf in that aisle is lower than the rest. The first thing I noticed was
I'm not gonna listen. I'm not even gonna joke around. All right, listen. The this actual image that's on the screen right now made me jump a little bit. Okay, it definitely did that.
her, peering half of her head from around the corner of the beauty aisle.
What?
She had to be kneeling down too because the shelf in that aisle is lower than the rest.
Bro, that's a little.
The first thing I noticed was blood trickling down her cheeks. She was smiling, and I heard her making these fucked up laughing sounds. It looked like she cut the skin on her cheeks right next to her lips, and this was when I realized she wasn't our age. She looked like she was anywhere from 30 to 40. I took one step closer, and I recognized her.
Okay.
It was this lady with serious mental issues who had DM'd me with a fake account before. And as far as I knew, she was dangerous and was supposed to be in some psychiatric center. She must have gotten my number through my Instagram, which I have set as a public figure profile, which includes my phone number. Seeing half her bloodied face peering at me, smiling, made me want to yak.
You gotta get out of there, bro.
I yelled at her to get away or I'd stab her. Of course,
She's about to eat his face.
complete bluff. I ran to one of the back aisles and hid from her, and I only sighed a breath of relief when I heard the beep of the front door go off. I went to go check if she was still there, but she wasn't. And so I called 911 and had the police take a report, showed them the CCTV footage, and warned them of her name and that she had serious mental issues. The officers were very nice and told me they'd be in the immediate area in case she returned. I blocked the number she was texting me from, and I like to think the police contacted her family.
Okay. Yeah, that's creepy, bro. Yeah, that's extremely creepy. The last one is crazy.
I used to work the dairy aisle in a grocery store.
All right.
It was the worst job I ever had. A lot of heavy lifting, expired dairy products, and shivering. The big dairy cooler was in the back of the store, in the area where all the groceries yet to be stocked on the shelves were kept. I would often just chill in the dairy cooler, no pun intended, because the supervisors on duty would never think to check on me in there. I'd bring a hoodie just so I wouldn't get cold.
Right.
Anyway, one night I was working till 10 p.m. The store got quiet past 9. However, Mr. Senko, the supervisor who was a pain in the ass, was on duty. So after stocking the milk cartons one more time for the night, I brought everything to the back area again. On my way back to the dairy cooler to just hide and chill in there, I saw very briefly, for like half a second, the face of someone through the glass of the cooler door. But they either just ducked down or faded away out of my view. Who was in there? I went through the doors to see, and got hit with that blast of cold air and the loud sound of the giant refrigerator blowing cold air into the room. Boxes, pallets, and crates of milk everywhere, but no immediate sight of anyone. There were many places to hide behind the giant piles of boxes, but no one was in there. So I did my usual. I sat on an empty milk crate hidden behind a big pile of boxes. Then suddenly the lights in the cooler turned off, and it went almost pitch dark, besides the light from outside the cooler coming in through the glass of the door. I had a mini freakout because I thought Mr. Senko knew I was in here and was basically signaling for me to come out. I stood up and came out from around the boxes, and then I froze. Something was blocking partial view of the two cooler doors. There was a silhouette of a really tall person right in front of me. It couldn't be Mr. Senko, he was kind of short. The figure right in front of me had to be a foot taller than me. Suddenly, the light flickered back on, and the figure I thought I saw right in front of me was no longer there. I nervously walked around where I thought I saw something standing. I even waved my hand through the air in that spot.
Okay.
I somehow felt like I wasn't alone in there, and so I burst through the doors and shut the dairy cooler light. I peeked inside now with the light off, but that figure I saw in there just a moment ago was still gone. I threw my apron off and clocked out early. I didn't care if Mr. Senko would be mad. I just needed to get out of there. That was the one paranormal thing to ever happen in my life.
This story was okay. It was way too slow for me personally. It sounds like it could have been horrific for the person that was actually like experiencing it firsthand, but I don't know. Let's go. Yeah, Silk Fortune, I appreciate that, dude.
I do overnight stock shifts for various local Lowe's home improvement stores.
Okay.
All I do is work whichever specific location needs me for the night, usually dependent on which location is having the most business. My job is to unload trucks, operate forklifts in the back section and throughout the store, and do night stock work. The trucker on duty that night was Paul, the only other guy with me that night. Once we successfully unloaded the truck, he helped me sort them in the back room before going off to do another pickup with the truck. So I was left alone to continue work as normal, nothing I wasn't used to. I'd scan the new shipments to take inventory, then I'd bring the items out to the floor and stock shelves with the new items. That's exactly what I was doing, going back and forth from the back warehouse section to the main floor, stocking shelves, sometimes using the forklift. I was scanning items with the inventory gun towards the back section of the warehouse when a loud crash scared the living shit out of me, to the point that I jumped and turned around midair. It was a big box that had fallen off a large pile of pallets full of unopened packages.
But how did it fall exactly?
The box's contents didn't spill out. The box was still intact. So I went to get the forklift to lift the packages back up onto the pallet. It was at this point I smelt a funky odor, but it wasn't the most uncommon thing ever in the warehouse. So I continued my work.
Something pungent.
At some point later that night, I turned the corner into the paint aisle and saw someone walking all the way down at the other side. They were dressed in dark clothes. No one else was supposed to be in the store, and they weren't wearing work clothes. So I shouted, "Hey." They turned around, and when they saw me, they took off running down an intersecting aisle. Naturally, I yelled again and started chasing after him. Of course, when I got to the intersecting aisle, he was nowhere to be seen. He could have been in any aisle by then. Still, I did one quick jog down the middle aisle to look through all the intersecting aisles.
Okay.
But I didn't see anyone. I called anyone who I thought could have possibly been on duty, but nobody even picked up.
So there's someone inside of there with him.
I was at a loss for who that could be. I had to assume it was an intruder.
Obviously.
I returned to the warehouse, and as I walked through the doors, I heard another crash from the back section of the warehouse. I ran in that direction and discovered something had fallen from the...
No, bro. You don't run towards the sound. Okay, listen. You're failing already, sir. Don't run towards the sound. You run away from the sound. That's how you survive.
The same pile of pallets and boxes. That was it. I had to run and grab a ladder to go climb up the stack of boxes. When I got to the top, I realized there was a perimeter, or wall rather, of packages and boxes surrounding one big hole.
Hey, Blood Hill, up near Antequera.
In this hole, there was a homeless-looking man dressed in all black, the same man I had just seen. This was where the odor from earlier was coming from. He looked at me. In this hole, there was a wall rather of packages and boxes surrounding one big hole.
Okay.
In this hole, there was a homeless-looking man dressed in all black, the same man I had just seen. This was where the odor from earlier was coming from. He looked at me, and I looked back at him, speechless. I didn't know what to say. He got up and seemed as though he were coming to lunge at me. I quickly stepped down the ladder low enough to where I could jump off.
Never.
And I ran down the aisle of the warehouse and stopped. I got on the phone with the police, and a couple officers showed up 15 minutes later. Of course, the little secret home that man had made between boxes was empty now.
Of course.
He evacuated with all his stuff.
Bro, you caught him. Why would he want to stay there, bro?
Camera footage later revealed that man had been staying in that little secret spot he created for a whole week. No one really checks the camera footage unless there's a reason to.
Exactly.
That's how he got away with it unnoticed for so long.
Okay, yeah, the last one was a little weird, bro. Probably more weird than I honestly should have been. Yeah, it wouldn't be me. It would literally never be me. It would never be me, bro. I don't know. Maybe I'm weak or something, bro. But yeah, I always run away from the problems. Well, I don't run away from my problems, right? If I cause them, then I deal with them, obviously. But like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna hear a loud noise at nighttime and be like, let's go see what this is about. Never do that shit. All right, let's get it. 3 disturbingly true. Ice cream truck stories. All right. Yeah, Eat Soup. I appreciate the donation. Do you have any paranormal stories or experiences? Nah, bro. I've never really had any strange things really happen to me like that, bro. I can't. Give me a little bit and I'll think of something. But I don't think so. I honestly don't think that I've had anything like strange or like awkward really happen to me. I've lived pretty much a boring life, honestly. I'm sure you can see by my channel all of my first time reactions, bro. Trust me when I say I have been sheltered for way too long in life. I don't really have many like crazy experiences, bro.
Growing up in the suburbs, one thing I always enjoyed in the summertime was the ice cream truck, specifically Mr. Softy.
Mr. Softy? This is New York? Interesting.
As a very little kid, anytime I'd hear the song of the Mr. Softy truck echoing through the...
Bro, this is like the sound of my childhood. Hold on, let me hear it one more time. I've been out of New York for a really long time, bro.
One thing I always enjoyed in the summertime was the ice cream truck, specifically Mr. Softy. As a very little kid, anytime I'd hear the song of the Mr. Softy truck echoing through the streets, I'd beg my mom for a few dollars and run outside to wave down the truck. I remember one of the first times I was ever left home alone. I was, I think, 7 years old. My mom was away somewhere and my dad was off that day. He apparently entrusted me to be home alone for a few minutes while he ran to the store. He was definitely the less responsible parent.
That is definitely
I was
Mr.
in the living
Softy.
room watching SpongeBob, I'm pretty sure, when I heard the familiar sound of the Mr. Softy tune outside. I rushed to the kitchen and climbed onto a chair to reach the little basket on the ledge that usually had stray dollars and coins inside.
Right.
I grabbed a dollar bill and some coins. I couldn't tell you the exact amount, obviously. I ran outside to the street and waved the truck down just in time. It pulled over, and the oldish man came to the window asking what I wanted. When I asked for a specialty cone, he told me I was a little short with the money I had. I believe I told him I didn't have any more money because my parents weren't home. I distinctly remember him asking me, "You're home alone?" As if he were confirming it.
Bro, hold on. Mr. Softy should not be asking you if you are home alone, okay? That's not something that should be normal. Like, I mean, Mr. Softy in my neighborhood, basically, right, in New York, he was a nice older gentleman, right? Occasionally he had dirty fingernails, but other than that, I think he was an overall, good stand-up type of guy, right? He just had dirty fingernails. Ugh.
I said yes, and he started acting all friendly and understanding. He told me to come into the truck so that I could make my own ice cream cone.
Come into the truck so you can make your own ice cream, bro.
I stepped into the truck, and the man went and shut the door. He told me to help myself to whatever ice cream I wanted. He said he was going to show me how to be an ice cream man, and he went to the driver's seat of the truck and started driving us somewhere.
I'm going to show you how to be an ice cream man. You're home alone? No problem. Just come in and just take what you want. Bro, what is wrong with you? Listen.
My young, innocent self.
Let me hear one of my children are doing this while they're home. First of all, why would they be home alone? But let me hear one of my children are doing this, bro. We're having a problem.
Thought this was all super exciting. He said he was going to show me how to be an ice cream man, and he went to the driver's seat of the truck and
Here, let me show you how to be an ice cream man.
Started driving us somewhere. My young, innocent self thought this was all super exciting as I was pouring soft serve ice cream into a cone. But I finished that cone and then started wondering where we were going, as we had been driving for a while. I went to the front of the truck to ask him, and he asked me in a more stern voice than he'd been speaking in to please go stay in the back of the truck. I listened to him. My appetite for more ice cream was suddenly gone as I got more uncomfortable. We went from a busy main road to a quiet residential road. At some point, I noticed the ice cream truck's music wasn't playing, and he was driving rather fast. The truck finally stopped in front of some abandoned-looking building, and he asked me to come follow him outside to the building. But not before we heard a tapping on the door of the truck. I heard a familiar, concerned voice yelling through the crack of the door. The man opened the door, and my neighbor Margie walked into the truck. She saw me and came to grab me by the arm and pull me out of the truck. She told me to wait in her car while she ran back to yell at the man. I was extremely confused at first.
Bro, you were about to get tickled.
The man in the ice cream truck sped off down the street. This was a time before cell phones. She couldn't just call 911 right away. She ran to the nearest house. At first I was confused, but obviously I know now she was asking for the owner's phone. She called 911, and I'm sure she reported the suspicious ice cream truck and attempted kidnapping. I don't remember the rest, except telling Margie my story, her driving me home to be greeted by my dad and cop cars, and then being told to go inside after telling a couple police officers what happened. The exact ice cream truck was found. I'm not sure how they did it. Maybe by investigating street camera footage and getting the plate number. I was made to confirm the driver was in fact the man who took me into the truck. He was sentenced to prison. That's all my parents
Hopefully life, bro.
told me. I don't think
That man tried to take this little child, bro. He definitely deserves the life, bro. Right? He deserves, yeah.
They know his name.
Life.
Either that or they didn't want to give it to me. Definitely not a memory I like thinking back on.
Well, see, this is a horrific story of Mr. Softy, bro. I went my whole life without hearing any terrible stories about Mr. Softy, and now the first time, other than my dirty fingernail experiences, right? Because but now I know that they tickle children, apparently. Not all of them, obviously, just one, apparently. Hey guys, if you're just coming in, if you guys can hit the like button, that helps a whole lot, dudes.
Up until I was 28,
All right.
I used to live with my parents in Camden, Maine, a rural boat town.
Maine.
They were hardly ever home because of work and just traveling a lot. So
Dude, Maine is a beautiful looking state. Seriously.
I'd hold down the fort a lot. My parents' property is large and private,
Okay.
so when they weren't home, I'd often throw little parties. This was one of those nights. I had maybe 15 to 20 people over, and we all hung out in the backyard. It started around 6 p.m., and people started leaving around 11 p.m. By midnight, everyone was gone, and I was absolutely shot from a mixture of having been in the sun most of the day and then drinking since around 6. I changed and got into bed. Before I could even fall asleep, though, I heard something one would not expect to hear this late at night. It was the sound of an ice cream truck, only it was a tune I'd never heard before, a kind of creepy sounding one. The tune got louder until it seemed to be right outside. I lay there waiting a minute or two for it to go away.
Okay.
But when it didn't, I finally got up and went to the window to look outside. I couldn't see anything from my bedroom window, so I went downstairs and looked out the living room window. I could vaguely see what had to be an ice cream truck out on the lawn. My heart started pounding the inside of my chest. Who was it? Why were they here? What did they want? I paced around the living room for a bit, not knowing whether to call the police or my dad.
Yes, you call the police. Okay? if you have a thought in your head like, I don't know, do I call the police or do I call my dad? Call the police. Okay?
Simply wait for them to leave. The awful tune of the ice cream truck didn't stop though. It grew sickening. I ended up finally snapping and going out the front door to the porch. There, I could more clearly see the ice cream truck parked on our property, like a little less than 100 feet away from the porch.
Okay.
It was parked on the grass, and it wasn't exactly a typical looking ice cream truck. It was like a white van with ice cream pictures stamped or painted on.
Let me guess, the van also said free candy, right?
It was a mix of confused and worried, mostly worried.
Alright, these stories are weird, bro.
Saying it was an abnormal sight would be a gross understatement. I stepped onto the grass with my bare feet and walked just a little closer to the van. The headlights weren't on, so when I got close enough, I saw there was no one in the driver's seat. When I got even closer...
Where is the driver? Could it have been bait to get you outside? To annoy you long enough, right? For you to step outside your door? Could that be it?
Saw one of the sliding doors on the side was open. I suddenly felt as though I could be jumped at any second. I looked around me in a panic, and then ran back inside the house and locked the door. Now I did call 911.
Wait, he went outside? There was no one outside? Maybe he was waiting for you to go investigate it. When he went, then he went into your house. Because you left the door, obviously, open, right? Could be. This sounds like a setup, bro.
And I asked them to please hurry. The woman asked me to walk around the house and check to make sure everything was locked. I started from the main floor and worked down to the den to the back door. The glass panel on the back door was shattered. It was unlocked and opened. I whispered this to the 911 operator, even though I was truly freaking out inside.
Bro,
She
in the house,
told me to go to a room with a lockable door and wait there until officers arrived. So I tiptoed to the nearest bathroom and locked the door. The operator told me to stay on the line and be quiet. A few moments later, someone on the other side of the door tried turning the doorknob. Then they banged on the door 3 times. The woman on the phone said quietly that she heard it and for me to remain quiet and calm. Then I heard the back door to the house slam shut, and half a minute later, the tune of the ice cream truck slowly faded away as the van was driven off. I told the woman, but she said to wait until officers arrived. They took a disgustingly long time to arrive. I I was waiting in that bathroom for another 5 minutes. If they arrived in a timely manner, they could have caught whoever was at my parents' house. Instead, all that happened was I got a police report. My personal theory is the ice cream truck tune was supposed to be a distraction or something, while one of the people in it broke into the house.
That was obvious, I think. It was pretty obvious how the story was actually moving because, bro, you have to think of the whole situation, right? That ice cream truck noise was there to lure you out of the house. It was annoying you so much. You'd be like, why is there an ice cream truck outside, right? And all your focus is on that while someone is literally breaking into your house. You then walk outside for the sole purpose of finding what's going on while they walk right in. Come on, right?
As I'm sure there were more than one person in that van. I'm happy this happened to me when I was 23 and not, say, 10 years old.
Exactly.
That would have traumatized me.
Well, hopefully you wouldn't have been alone at 10 years old in the house. All right. Yeah, that story was a little frustrating. Slightly.
This happened a long time ago. I was in the 6th grade. People used to call me Jimmy until around high school.
Okay.
There was this ice cream truck that would always drive down my block once a day in the warmer months. The driver got to know me on a more personal level. He knew my name and I knew his, Bernard.
Okay.
I'd go outside for ice cream so often that he'd slow down or sometimes even stop for a minute in front of my house waiting for me to come outside, knowing I was a frequent customer. Anytime I'd buy ice cream from his truck, I'd always get the same Oreo ice cream cup. He'd always stop and talk to me for a few minutes, and sometimes he'd give me free ice cream. There was this one Friday.
Listen, the ice cream man gives you free ice cream. That sounds like a problem, bro, right?
And I remember it was a Friday because it was the start of the weekend that my parents were going away. On this Friday, Bernard once again passed my house, and it was one of the days that I went outside to buy from him. On this day, though, he gave it to me for free again, and because of that, I stuck around and chatted with him for a while. He asked me how things were going and whatnot, and I told him I was excited to have the house to myself for the weekend. He was surprised that I would have the house to myself at such a young age. He said I was lucky and to enjoy. Then he drove off, and the truck eventually disappeared.
Hey, actually, Macala Fire in the Booth, part 3, I think is coming, sometime this week, before Sunday, I know.
Here, along with the music. The rest of the story is the part that you may not
appreciate the donation, obviously, dude.
I stayed up late in my room because my parents weren't home. I was playing video games on my computer, and I heard the sound of Bernard's ice cream truck. It didn't start from a distance and slowly get louder. No, it literally seemed to turn on right outside my house.
Ooh.
I went to my window and saw the truck right outside, playing the music at this late hour in the night, past midnight. It had to be Bernard, but what was he doing?
Past midnight?
The music suddenly stopped, and the truck's lights turned off. I opened my window a crack just to listen for what might be going on.
Right.
Just the sound of crickets, until I saw Bernard appear from the darkness, quickly approaching my window, yelling, "Jimmy." He stopped when his face basically banged into my window, and he started telling me to come outside. He told me I could get all the free ice cream I wanted, but the way he was speaking, he seemed off. He seemed like he was on something.
Oh, he was ready to get it, basically. Listen, this is a problem. All right. Since I've been in Spain, right, I have not encountered a single ice cream man, right? And so I guess it's fine. But now, is this what you guys are doing in America right now with ice cream men? Listen, I don't want any. Listen, my kids are going to be so far away from ice cream men now, right? This is, I don't even know what to say about this, bro. This is terrible, bro. Absolutely terrible.
His movements were spastic and sporadic. He then tried pulling my window further open aggressively, and I screamed and yanked it closed. He started knocking on the window, and I screamed and begged him to leave or I'm calling the cops.
Yes, please, leave.
When I said that, he turned around and ran back to his truck. The lights turned back on, and he drove off into the night without the music playing. I was so scared I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to call my parents, and I was scared to call the cops. I just locked my bedroom door and tried to go to sleep, but it was a long night before I fell asleep. Bernard never returned to my block after that, but But anytime I'd hear an ice cream truck passing by, I'd get paranoid it was him.
Okay, yeah, this is a problem. Ice cream men are now officially banned from my life. Okay, that's a fact. Yeah. Ice cream men are obviously dangerous, bro. Alright. Let's see what we have here. 3 true mansion horror stories. Alright, let's get into it. And this one's going to be the last one, guys. Just so we can actually start getting today's content out to you guys. All right.
There's this abandoned mansion in Toronto.
Hey, Juan. There is ice cream, kinda, right? It's more like gelato, right? Which is kind of ice cream, but I think a little bit more fatty. I think, but it's kind of ice cream. But I know if for example, if I do want like American ice cream, right? I'm gonna have to get like Ben and Jerry's, and I think for example, what is it like a small container of like Ben and Jerry's is like equivalent to like $10 US, just to give you an example of how absurd it is. So it's better just to not consume ice cream or just eat, European gelato. If that's your thing, nothing's wrong with it, right? But I just, would really like some like butter pecan or, something like that. Just some American ice cream once in a while, but it's almost impossible, all right?
That came up in a group chat among my friends. We saw pictures of it through a mutual friend who had recently gone to explore there. It looked immaculate based on the pictures, and we were intrigued to go check it out. It was 10 miles north from us, so...
Hey, Far Stepper, yeah, these are very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable.
The drive wasn't bad. The mansion sat on a big open grass plain, with pine trees and other foliage surrounding the perimeter of the property, acting as a natural fence or just a wall of privacy from the outside. My friends, who I'll call Chad and Brad for this story, followed close behind me.
So we have fake names.
As I led the way up the large gravel driveway towards the front of the unfinished house. By the looks of it, construction on the structure had been abandoned when it was near completion, as the outside foundation seemed to be finished. Our mutual friend who found out about the place had told us that he hopped through a back window that was left unlocked, so that's what we looked for. The unlocked window turned out to be in the kitchen, right over the counter, so one at a time we squeezed through the window, crawling onto the counter and then down to the ground. First impressions in the kitchen, almost immaculate, minus a few of the cabinet doors sprawled out on the floor as if they had yet to be installed. Just things like sheetrock boards laying around. But everything seemed new, and it was a shame the construction was abandoned. The three of us kind of went our own directions in the house. I went towards the living room, which again was almost pristine. It was a huge room that transitioned into the dining room, and then from there, a wide hallway with at least 10 different doors. My friends were already checking out some of the rooms in this hallway. I peeped into each room and realized most of them were bedrooms. At the end of the hall was a 3-door garage. The last door in the hall before the garage was the basement. I called to Brad and Chad that I was checking out the basement. I got an acknowledgement from at least one of them.
Okay.
The basement had this bizarre spiral staircase, so when I got to the bottom, I couldn't even see the door at the top. There were no windows down there, so besides my flashlight, it was pitch black. It was a completely unfinished basement. Pieces of drywall everywhere, unfinished wood foundation.
Expected, you basically broke into a piece of property that is still being built. What do you expect?
Foundation where walls should be, but the basement was huge. Like, there were multiple sections down there. It was big enough to fit a basketball court and more. Then I came across this back room with a few storage containers. I was here to explore after all, so I curiously started lifting the lids off the containers. The first 2 seemed to contain building tools and supplies like wood plank.
Hey, dude, definitely donations are not necessary, bro. If you can, you can. No problem, obviously. But if you can't, you can't, bro. It's not a problem at all, right?
But then I heard something from one of the other containers. It was like something caused the container to make a bump sound. Could it be an animal? Or was I just hearing things? I went to the container and noticed the lid was not sealed on this one, as as it wasn't sitting perfectly snug on the top. As I bent over to try and lift the lid, it lifted without me touching it, and I heard a whispering noise. I fell backwards on my hands as this happened.
A whispering
While I
noise?
was on the ground, I saw a smiling woman looking at me. The only thing lifting the container up was her head.
What? Hold on. Did I just miss? Alright, this is weird.
It's over to try and lift the lid. It lifted with
So they found a homeless woman, obviously living inside of a container in the unfinished basement of a mansion that is still currently being built, but not actively being built.
without me touching it, and I heard a whispering noise. I fell backwards on my hands as this happened, and while I was on the ground, I saw a smiling woman looking at me. The only thing lifting the container up was her head. She looked at me, laughed, and said peekaboo, and she laughed some more. I ran to the top of the stairs, but the basement door was now locked. I banged on it for my friends to open it up, but they were apparently messing with me. I heard creaks on the...
So the friends are messing with him, not realizing that now he's trapped in the basement with a woman that is living inside of a container that literally lifted her head, lifted the top of the container with her head. I'm guessing she barely shut her eyes and just said, peekaboo, basically scaring the life out of this person. Nah, bro. These are no longer my friends.
Little staircase below me. I couldn't see her yet, but I could hear her laughing getting closer, and she was mumbling incomprehensible things. I screamed at the top of my lungs to please help me, and Chad finally opened the door. I ran out and looked back for half a second, greeted by this ghostly, skinny figure of this pale woman looking up at me, almost at the top step. I slammed the door shut and locked it. Chad saw the woman too, and we bolted for the front door. We didn't care about leaving it open. The three of us got to the edge of the property to talk. After an hour of just sitting in my car thinking and talking, I agreed to go back inside and unlock the basement door. As scary as what I witnessed was, I didn't want to be responsible for someone dying down there. But when we got back inside, the
She was gone.
basement door was wide open.
Oh.
I promise you we locked that door, so it made no sense. We once again bolted back outside towards the car and drove home, to never return to that mansion again.
This is why you try not to do breaking and entering, dude. No? I don't think it's a hard thing to do, bro.
When I was a very young kid, we lived in an upper middle class neighborhood.
Okay.
Lots of space between each house. All the houses on our street were very nice, but there was one abnormally large house. It was closer to a mansion. It sat right across the street from us, and my bedroom window could look across to the windows of the mansion. Since our street was incredibly low traffic, our parents let us play soccer in the street.
Hey Juan, yes, I think that's actually true. Ice cream in Spain is definitely served in taco shells, along with and they also make like chocolate sandwiches. Definitely.
So my two friends, Brian and Zeke, were playing soccer one sunny day. It was usually just the three of us, so we had this kind of free-for-all version of soccer that we made up. Eventually the ball was kicked onto the property of the mansion, so I ran over to get it. When I picked up the ball, I looked at all the windows to see if the house owner was possibly witnessing me on his property. But at one of the top windows was a young boy who looked to be about our age.
Okay.
I hurried off the property and back to my friends. I asked them if they had ever seen the kid who lives in that mansion, and they hadn't. The second time I looked back at the window, the boy was no longer there. It wasn't for a while after that, probably a month, that I was in my room playing Nintendo. And for whatever reason, I got up to get something, and I looked out my window across to the mansion, and I saw that boy at the window again. He was surely looking at me.
Hey Gel, the Eminem BET Cypher is coming out, and as soon as we're done with this stream.
All the way from across the street. It kind of creeped me out. I walked away from the window to ignore it. Why hadn't I ever seen that kid outside before? Come to think of it, why hadn't I ever really seen the owners of that house? I asked my parents about the boy across the street. They said they were pretty sure there was no boy in that house. So the next time Brian, Zeke, and I were playing in the street, we were thinking of potential fourth players to have a real game. I had an idea.
Let's go knock
I ran
on
to
the
front door
door.
of that mansion and rang the bell. A 50-something-year-old woman answered. I asked if her son wanted to play soccer with us. She looked at me puzzled and said,
I don't have a son.
"What son?" I replied, "The boy who was always at the upstairs window." I can't describe the look on her face besides shock and
There are no boys in this house.
fear. She asked me what the boy looked like, and after my best description, a tear rolled down her cheek. She put her hands over her mouth.
It was the son of hers that she had lost when she was younger, probably, right?
She brought me upstairs to the room where I kept seeing the boy. It was a boy's bedroom. She showed me a picture of a kid and asked me if this was the boy I was seeing, and I said yes. She told me that was her 8-year-old son, Charlie, who died 10
This is kind of predictable, bro.
years ago. That
This
woman
one.
living there had been alone ever since she lost her son and husband. She believed what I said because I nor my parents would have ever had any way of knowing about her son. She didn't tell me or my parents what happened to her husband or son. As sad as this all was, it was still horrifying. There was one other time I saw the boy. I was in my room, months later, and I looked out my window to the woman's mansion across the street.
Okay.
There he was again, at the upstairs window. I could tell he was looking at me. I shut my blind with force and tried to forget about it. It still sends shivers up my spine when I think back on it.
All right. This story here, no. The first one was the most horrific one.
I was once hired to house sit for a friend of a family friend who was going away for a week.
Friend of a family
In this
friend.
case, I
all
should
right?
call it mansion sit because the family was absolutely loaded, and the mansion sat on the rich side of town in front of a huge lake. I was 21, and it just seemed like a cool job to have for a week. The family's one rule was to throw no parties and no more than 2 guests at any time, which even that I thought was generous of them. The father's name was Benjamin, and that's the only name you'll need to know.
Okay.
Ben
Benjamin.
left me a list of things to keep track of every night, which included feeding the 2 cats and 2 parrots, watering the plants, among other things that really won't contribute to the story. The house was a half hour from home, so instead of just driving there and back every day, I opted to just sleep in one of the guest bedrooms,
Yeah, that sounds logical.
which they offered to me after all.
Right.
The first day there, I got there very late, so it was a short one that got me kind of warmed up for what to expect the week ahead of me. After doing the insignificant amount of morning chores, I hopped in the pool they had in the backyard. The pool literally overlooked a gorgeous, tranquil lake, and even with the thought of getting to enjoy this unbelievable house for a week, I was still
That looks like an amazing infinity pool.
incredibly jealous. As I was in the pool, I noticed through the giant floor-to-ceiling windows to the living room, somebody walking inside.
Why would somebody be in that house?
I jumped out from the pool, freaking out. I ran to grab the towel and dry myself for a second before storming inside, yelling, "Excuse me." I didn't see anyone in the living room, so I entered the kitchen, and there was a fairly large Hispanic woman who looked to be about 35 to 40.
Okay.
She was just standing there as if waiting for me. I
Right.
asked her who she was and why she was here while trying to keep myself composed and confident. She said in a thick accent that she was the maid who came every day to clean the floors and stuff.
Okay.
She introduced herself as Eliza. I
Eliza.
instantly felt a sense of relief and introduced myself as Mike, the guy who was house sitting for the week.
She's lying.
She spoke in as little words as possible.
The reason why I know she's lying is because the owner of the house would have said, "Hey, we're gonna have the maid coming." I don't think that, and the fact that he didn't know beforehand, because then why would you need a house sitter if you have the maid there to be like, "Hey, let's the maid can literally just clean up the house and move on, check on the house and things like that." So I don't believe it.
Well, I don't think her English was too good, but she
Right.
basically said she was going to clean the floors in the kitchen and living room now. I
Okay.
said that was completely fine and let her do her thing. I asked her how she got in the house, and she said she had her own copy of the key. So that was that.
Interesting.
I went back out to the pool for a little longer to let her do her thing. When I got
Let her do her thing, and she's like robbing the house.
out from the pool, I dried up and took a shower. After my shower, I fed the animals again. The parrots were easier than the cats, surprisingly.
Okay.
I didn't see the maid again, but I didn't really want to get in her
Of course you didn't see her again, bro. She already robbed the house.
way and have awkward small talk with someone who could barely speak English anyway. I had a couple friends over that night because everyone was eager to see the place, but I respected their rules of only 2 guests at a time.
Right.
I gave them the best tour I could. Then we kind of just chilled in the game room they had, played some air hockey and pool table, and drank a little bit. When I told my friends about the cleaning lady scaring the hell out of me, they both found it insanely suspicious. Like, why wouldn't Ben have told me about the cleaning
Ooh, unless she's still in the house. Maybe she's hiding somewhere.
lady? They brought up a good point.
Exactly. Why
The
wouldn't
cleaning
the
lady.
Yeah, exactly? Why wouldn't the owner have told him? This is kind of what I was pointing out. Just based off of pure logic, it doesn't make any sense.
He's scaring the hell out of me. They both
You're not gonna get over me with illogical things, bro. It won't happen, right? Put me in that situation, I would have no chance. Get out right now. I'm calling the police.
found it insanely suspicious. Like, why wouldn't Ben have told me about the cleaning lady? They brought up a good point, so I shot Ben a text, asking about the cleaning lady.
And Ben is like, "What cleaning lady?" Exactly.
He didn't answer right away, and I didn't want to call. My friends wanted to sleep over, but I didn't want to push it. I had no idea if they had cameras in the house or not. So they left, and quickly after I started getting myself ready to lay down in bed. At some point I got a text
You gonna lay down in bed? First of all, you didn't even see the woman leave. Okay, keep that in mind.
back from Ben, apologizing for taking so long, and then asking what cleaning lady, with 2 question marks and an exclamation point.
Exactly.
I typed back, Eliza, the Hispanic woman who came by and claimed she was the cleaning lady. That's when Ben called me with a concerned voice. He got more details from me after telling me there was no cleaning lady. That was the whole reason they hired me.
Exactly.
I felt like I had been taken for a fool. But more importantly, I was terrified that I may not have been in that house alone at that very moment.
You're not.
Ben told me to just hide in a bedroom and that he'd call the police for me. So we hung up, and I waited in the room for the police to arrive. I had Ben on FaceTime when the police arrived, so he could also talk to them. We all looked through the house together, from top to bottom, and we didn't see anyone. I told Ben the lady said she had a spare key, but he said he was confident that that was a lie, because they never made any spare keys.
Yep.
He was confident she simply snuck in when I was in the pool or outside in general. After we were sure there was no one in the house, the police left, but they made sure I locked all the doors and windows before they did so. I spoke with Ben a little longer, who was very comforting, and asked I just hold down the fort and call the police if anything else should happen. We hung up, and I went to bed. I locked the door, of course. I left the air conditioner off so I could hear any potential noises from outside of the room.
Bro.
As I lay awake, subconsciously waiting for a noise, I heard one from under the bed.
Is she under the bed, bro? Is she under the bed?
I left the air conditioner off so I could hear any potential noises from outside of the room. As I lay awake, subconsciously waiting for a noise, I heard one from under the
Hey, System of a Down suggestions is coming today, dude.
bed. It sounded like a squeak on the wood floor. I hopped out of the bed and looked under it. There were 2 people hiding underneath. One was the lady from earlier, Eliza. The other was some man probably 10 years older than her, with his hand over her mouth. They both locked eyes with me. I screamed and I ran for the door. The moment that it took me to unlock the door and then open and shut it was more than I was comfortable with. As I did, I heard them crawling out from the bed. I ran outside to my car without my shoes and drove down the street, where I called the police, and then I called Ben again. I waited for police cars to pass, and then I
Bro, could you imagine? Could you imagine, bro? They go and search the house, and they're literally like they're hiding under the bed in the room that you're sleeping in. You get into bed to relax, right? And you're like, yeah, well, I can't fall asleep. Then you hear a noise underneath the bed. You get out of the bed, you look underneath it, and it's literally the people who you basically searched the whole house for. Bro, never, okay? Never. See? It's that weird shit. This is that weird shit, bro.
and then I called Ben again.
This is
I
frustrating.
waited for police cars to pass, and then I followed them. once again searched the whole house and found no one. This time I didn't stick around for the night. Ben told me to go home and stay safe. The family booked a flight back home the next day, cutting their vacation short. The intruders were never identified. All that can be speculated is they walked in through the front door while I was in the pool because I didn't lock the door, and that they somehow knew the family would be gone. No further info is known.
Okay, well, that was terrifying experience, guys. I appreciate all of you guys who came by and hung out with us today. We're gonna go ahead and get ready to go because we need to get the content out for you guys tonight. So hopefully within about an hour we should have everything ready. And again, I appreciate every single one of you guys for stopping by and hanging out with us tonight. All right.